For more, we're joined by Asla Aydin-Tashbash. She's a visiting fellow at the Brookings Institute. Good to have you with us.
Hi, Linda.
So I want to start with the significance of this aerospace facility. This is one of Turkey's top state-run defence firms and a major arms producer, right?
It produces drones and aircraft for Turkish armed forces. Drones and armed drones have been the crown jewel of Turkey's growing regional power. And of course, the country is very proud in many ways of its defense industry. So yes, it's a very important factory.
And we are hearing that Turkey has already launched strikes in retaliation on Kurdish militants in both Iraq and Syria. It's blaming them for this attack. Do we know if there is any evidence?
Well, we don't know what the identity of the actual attackers are. Late yesterday, we heard the defense minister come out and say it looks like a PKK, the Kurdish separatists. We don't know why, because just a couple of weeks ago, for the past few weeks, Turkey has been discussing a new peace initiative with Kurds. In fact, with the PKK, there was expectation that its imprisoned leader, Abdullah Öcalan, who's been in jail in Turkey for many, many years, would come out and call for disarmament of the organization, come out and call for a resumption of peace negotiations. So this coming right after that national discussion on reconciliation had started is a bit of a shock to many.
Just talk to us about the Kurdistan Workers' Party, the PKK. Is this sort of attack typical of their approach, which reportedly included a suicide bomber?
Well, it's unusual to see an attack on a Turkish state enterprise or an armed factory. PKK has had an on-again, off-again peace process with Turkish government, which ended a decade ago. And since then, there have been a number of attacks, but it's not been doing too much inside Turkey. Instead, it has consolidated in Syria and Iraq. Of course, this is an organization that goes back to the 1980s. Started out as a guerrilla movement fighting for an independent Kurdish homeland, but has been over the past decades seeking more of an autonomy inside Turkey. They run a very strong, powerful organization in Syria, inside Syria, affiliated with anti-ISIS forces, fighting ISIS, affiliated with U.S. military inside Syria, partnering with U.S. military in the fight against ISIS. And that has been a huge cause of tension in Turkey's relationship with its closest ally, United States. So at this point, we're talking about an organization that isn't just in Turkey, but also in Syria and Iraq, perhaps a very big movement. And Turkish government and PKK have been fighting an on-again and off-again war, basically, since 1980s, early 80s.
And of course, you mentioned the timing of this, coming at a time when Turkey was debating whether to reignite the peace process with the PKK and talking about whether to grant parole to this imprisoned leader. So if this was the PKK, what was their objective?
It's very hard to figure out what the signaling was. Of course, people have died, 5 people have died. It's more than signaling, it's a terrorist attack. But on the other hand, there's clearly a message here in picking this particular location in Ankara, a defense manufacturing company. When Erdogan is away, perhaps PKK is saying that a peace process without its own involvement, simply with the leader of the organization who has been in jail for decades, would not work, that it needs to be the primary interlocutor. Or perhaps it's an offshoot inside the PKK, a more radical element that is wanting to sort of boycott, sabotage the peace process. But there's no doubt that this comes as an effort to sabotage this new talk of reconciliation inside Turkey.
Asla Aydin-Tashbash, appreciate your analysis. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.